sports lovers. Welcome back to another episode of Global Sports from a Caribbean perspective, the show where we bring the biggest sports right here from a Caribbean perspective. The best stakes, the best teams, the best players, the best leagues, all from a Caribbean perspective. Today I'm your host, Shabba, and I'm here with
Dops.
and we are going to review game week 6 of the Vinci Soccer Premier League. In game week 6, it was another exciting round of matches that delivered drama, comebacks, and a massive clash at the top of the table. Let's get straight into the action. And we'll begin on Friday night where Camdonia Chelsea take on Jebelle, and Camdonia picked up their first victory of the season with an impressive result against title hopefuls Jebelle. Barack Barber opened the score in the 18th minute, capitalizing on some lapse in concentration from the Jebelle defender who attempted to dribble out of his own penalty area. Barber reacted quickest to the mistake to give the South Leeward side the edge early on. Jebelle responded in the 27th minute through Delano Benjamin, who calmly converted his penalty after Java Odin was brought down in the box. With the match appearing destined for a draw, Jamal Bishop produced a moment of quality late in the game after a defensive mix-up left the Jebelle goalkeeper stranded in no man's land. Bishop showed great awareness to lap the keeper and secure all 3 points. A massive victory for Camdonia as they finally get their first win of the season after 6 games. Thoughts?
Big up Chelsea 100%. They didn't let the game get away from them in any way at all. They went out there, they pressed from the very beginning. Some gifts really and truly from Jebel's really helped them along the way. It's really terrible defending. Especially with the last goal. First goal, I mean that happens from time to time. You think you have more time than you actually have on the ball, and then you get caught on it. But the second goal, just the communication miss or lack thereof between the two centre backs who basically just scuffed it, looped it in the air, and Bishop did really well to take that opportunity. So poor performance from Jebelle all around. They didn't really threaten per se. They got that penalty from Delano Benjamin, but apart from that, they didn't really pepper or threaten the goal like we thought they would have, or I thought they would have. So yeah, credit to Chelsea. They have been playing really well over the last few games, and this is a well-deserved victory.
Very deserved victory for a team that has been improving since the first few games of the season, as you mentioned. But I wanted to touch on Jebelle first, who are the team I would have, continuously mentioned. They have been very consistent, and you know, you know what to expect from them game from game this season. But this is a game that I didn't expect from them. They came out very lackluster, almost as if they thought they didn't have to put in much effort to beat the team that started the day at the bottom of the table. So credit to Chelsea. They came out with all of the fire and vengeance in their belly to get that first victory of the season. As you mentioned, the first goal came from a mistake, and I'd say that has to do with the same lackadaisical mentality that Jebelle had, that the defender thought he could take 2-3 touches in the box and he wouldn't be pressed. He'd easily dribble his marker. Bishop, no, Barber, who dispossessed the defender, showed great energy to press him and great finish as well.
Finish, yeah.
Right? So after that, Jebelle came back in the game when eventually, when Java won the game, when Java won the penalty, and you thought they would have kicked on from there, but Chelsea fought and fought, and in the end they deserved the victory. So credit to Chelsea, because they didn't start the season well, but maybe they're showing reason why they finished fourth in the Premier League last season, and teams would have to look out for them coming up. So credit to Chelsea, and Jebelle will look to bounce back in their next game. Moving on to the second game from Friday night, which saw Arsenal and Hope FC clear out the first goalless draw of the season. Both sides showed plenty of effort and physicality throughout the match, but neither team was able to create the decisive moment needed to break the deadlock. Arsenal were hoping to bounce back after suffering their first defeat of the campaign, while Hope came into the match looking to end a 3-game losing streak. In the end, both defenses held firm, and the teams had to settle for a point in a tightly contested encounter, with a point, being shared between both teams. Who would be happier with a point here?
I think it would be awesome. I think at this point in time, we are in match week 6, where Hope stand they would want no more or no less than 3 points at the moment. So the more games they go without a victory, it looks more like a daunting task to actually finish where they want to be. I mean, System 3 running away with it at the moment. So I would say it's a good point for Awesome Hope being, the past juggernauts we knew they were. Awesome still very tough to break down, still very tough to beat. And yeah, I think they would be much happier with the point than Hope.
Have to agree. Have to agree. Hope has built their name this season on being very tough to break down, very resilient, very clean sheet, like very clean sheet mentality, force mentality. And I'd say they'd be very happy with that point as they maintain their position in the league. They're not too close to the relegation zone, but they're basically mid-table. As for hopes, this continues a trend of poor performances from them this season, despite them having a lot of quality in terms of name brand type players, midfield, up front, Val Anderson and the likes. They've been poor to say the least, and this is what you wouldn't expect from a Farrell coach team. So it's very disappointing to see Hope having only 5 points thus far this season after 6 games. Is definitely not where they hope to be, and no pun intended. Hopefully they turn it around, because it's not looking good for their prospects in terms of
I understand.
qualifying for something proper in terms of finishing in the top 2, top 3. So hopefully they would improve over the next few games. But as for Awesome, much more of the same like we expected from them. I don't think Chadstra played in this game, and you could see them lacking a bit in the attack as well. So a point shared between both teams, and they move on. So we move over to Sunday's games, and we begin with Bequia United versus Avenues United. Sunday's opening match produced one of the most dramatic games of the season so far, as Bequia United came from 3 goals down to rescue a point against Avenues United. Avenues started brightly and took the lead in the 18th minute when Jebelle Morgan unfortunately turned the ball into his own net. 2 minutes later, Cadel Hector doubled the advantage from the penalty spot. Hector then added his second of the match in spectacular fashion, lobbing the Bequia goalkeeper on the half volley to give Avenues a 3-0 lead at the time. However, Bequia began their comeback just before halftime when Jamal Olivier fired home in the 43rd minute to give his team hope heading into the break. Olivier struck again in the 83rd minute after reacting quickest to a loose clearance from a corner to make it 3-2. Moments later, like less than a minute later, Bequia completed the comeback when Mark Brown, the inevitable Mark Brown, arrived at the back post to finish from close range and level the match. A remarkable turnaround sees both teams share the points in a thrilling 6-goal encounter, and both teams are now at the bottom of the table after Chelsea's victory. So just like I asked you in the previous game, who would be happier with a point here?
This one is tough because Avenues were up 3-0 and you would expect them to, drive safely home from there. And then from Bequia's perspective, well, from my perspective, I expected Bequia to win. I believe that they thought they should have won it as well. So it's a really tough question, but I think I would have to go with Bequia, seeing that they were 3-0 down. They came by, they responded, and they even had a chance to, go on and really take all 3 points. But yeah, the answer to your question is Bequia United happier.
Yeah, seeing Avenues going up 3-0 was definitely surprising, to say the least. Great finish from Hector. The second goal, this penalty was well taken as well. And Avenues seemed to be on their way to their first 3 points, but the same problems that have been their kryptonite for the entire season, basically lackadaisical defending, and then not being able to take advantage of their countless opportunities. Well, not countless opportunities. They had opportunities in this game, not countless opportunities from past games. This is the first game they actually played well on the front foot and attacking, and actually took the game to Bequia, maybe because Bequia are, closer to their level in terms of performance. So they would be really disappointed with throwing away, 2 points here. A win would have seen them, leapfrog Hope, for example. So it's gonna be a very tough road for both teams, really and truly. And really and truly, I don't think a point favors either team, because now Chelsea have, gotten their first victory of the season and are out of that jam. It's difficult to see where both teams are gonna pick up points from going forward. So both teams would see it as an opportunity missed to claim 3 points. But shout out to Hector, who had a good game again, and shout out to Olivier, who notched the brace as well.
Yeah, big up Oliver 100% because the goals weren't easy finishes at all, especially the second one. The second one came to him in a flash, as you said, and yeah, he really had some composed finish. The first one was some venom, was very nice instep on the half volley. So big up Jamal Oliver. He seems to have some quality there, and hopefully that could propel Hope to be a bit more of a threat on the attack.
Yeah. So very entertaining game, but I don't think a point favors either team that much going forward, but we'll see. Moving on to the second game from Sunday, as BESCO Pastures take on the defending champions, not Leeward Predators. Pastures continued their strong form with a composed performance by defeating the defending champions, not Leeward Predators, 2-0. Dante Enville opened the scoring in the 28th minute, heading home from a long delivery by his captain Augustus Adams to give Pastures the advantage heading into halftime. Predators pushed hard for an equalizer during the second half, but struggled to break down the disciplined Jebelle BESCO defense. As Predators committed players forward late in the game, Jordan McKenzie sealed the victory in stoppage time by capitalizing on some loose defending to make it 2-0. Another solid result for BESCO, who continue to strengthen their position near the top of the table, while Predators suffer another disappointing defeat. Which angle do we take it?
Yeah, I think it was poor from Predators. Surprisingly poor, especially from the defensive perspective aspect. You expect them to be a bit more solid, a little bit more organized with more structure, and it was loose. And I'm pretty sure the manager would agree with me, especially for the first goal. Dante Enville has no reason to be latching onto a ball at the back post, beating his defender there. The defender has no clue what's going on, to be fair, and the ball loops to the back post of the keeper. I mean, I'm pretty sure this was the shortest guy on the field, and he had the desire to get there more than anyone else. So yeah, credit to him. But it just seems like the defenders, especially for Predators, weren't there, and we saw that in the second goal as well. A long ball over the top, and the other defender seemed clueless as to how to approach clearing or controlling or dealing with it. So it was poor defending from Predators, but you have to give credit to the Pastures for being as solid, gritty again, and taking the opportunities when they come.
Definitely credit to BESCO Pastures, who have now picked up their 4th win of the season with a clean sheet to boot. That is a very impressive stat. Something that I didn't see from them coming into the season. They definitely have a strong backbone. And aside from losing to Layou and System 3, they're unbeaten and on a 4-game win streak, basically, aside from Layou and System 3. So credit to them. They have goals from all over. This is Enville's first goal of the season, as well as Mackenzie's first goal of the season. You mentioned him, Enville maybe being the shortest player on the field and still having the wherewithal to head the ball in the other direction from whence it came. That was a great finish, right? Any number 9 striker would be proud of. As for the defending, it left a lot to be desired, because the defender who was in closest vicinity to Enville towered over Enville, and he didn't even have to jump if he wanted to win a header over Enville, and that ball came from a set piece. Like, there's no reason for him to be lapsing in concentration in that moment. So it was a very puzzling moment, and something not Leeward Predators like at all. From there they pushed, but it never really seemed like breaking down the resolute, I have to say, BESCO Pastures defense at this point. And total credit to BESCO and Augustus Adams again in the defense, who won player of the match again. I think that's his 3rd player of the match award from centre back. So that's a credit to him, and he's definitely one of the players of the tournament so far. As for the Predators, like I mentioned, he tried, but it just wasn't enough, and it goes back to their performances before the game against Arsenal in the last game where they won 2-0, that they're struggling in attack, and we have to keep mentioning that the departure of Courtney Franklin is certainly playing a part in their lack of firepower up front, and that is definitely derailing their title challenge. So credit to BESCO, but not Leeward are definitely struggling at the moment. Move over to the final game from this weekend, and it was a highly anticipated top of the table clash, which saw System 3 face Layou, and it delivered an exciting contest as league leaders. System 3 maintained their unbeaten start to the season by winning 2-1. Layou struck first, however, in the 34th minute when Kobe Mingno headed home following good build-up play involving Dorian Hamlet and Wendell Coffey, whose deflected cross found its way to Mingno, who headed home into an empty net. System 3 equalized almost right away, let's say 10 minutes later, when leading scorer Azino Salaman converted from the penalty spot after being fouled by Layou goalkeeper Anthony Lewis. The decisive moment came in the 67th minute when Aaron Collis produced excellent wing play down the left before cutting inside and firing a powerful shot that goalkeeper Lewis could not handle. Zibian Cunningham was on hand and reacted quickest to head home the rebound and secure the victory for the league leaders. System 3 remained top of the table and unbeaten while Layou suffered their first defeat of the season. Where do we take it from here? Another impressive, I'd say, come from behind victory from System 3, and they maintain their top of the table status. But Layou showed real fight. Where do we go?
Yeah, I think they did. I think they had chances to maybe increase their lead or at least retake the lead, and they kind of fell to the wayside. They weren't efficient or clinical, and System 3 really took their opportunity when it came. I mean, Zeno had a chance. I wouldn't say it's an easy chance because it can happen where it looped over. I think it was maybe a rebound or it was a cross the box, but it looped over, and you would expect Zeno to finish that. But apart from that, there weren't many clear cut chances. But the wing play from, I was saying number 7 all night because I wasn't sure what his name was, because
Aaron Collis.
I think it was the first time I was seeing him for the season, if I'm correct. And yeah, he was really outstanding and very hard to deal with from a defensive perspective on Layou. So yeah, I just want to give a shout out to him, as sometimes the games go by, you don't get a goal, you don't get assist, you really get the recognition. But I really felt like a lot of good came from Collis, and then I noticed that Zeno moved to the right hand side for a fair bit of the game. I'm not sure if he wasn't getting that kind of opportunity or luck in the central areas, but he did cause problems anytime he shifted out to the right, and that did give Layou a bit of a headache in terms of organization, how to face or approach it. So credit to System 3 for adjusting, and yeah, Layou kind of, I think it was there for the stalemate had they taken the few opportunities that they had. But yeah, deserved 3 points for System 3.
Yeah, I'd have to say it's a deserved victory for System 3 in the end, who they didn't get off to the best start. And not only because Layou took the lead, Layou were playing the better football throughout the first half, and Azino wasn't having his best day or his most productive day. The defender for Layou, I think it's Josiah Nash in the defense, number 15, had a very good game. He seems as though he had the task of man marking Solomon and basically followed him around the pitch. And he did a good job because Zeno didn't really break loose, as you mentioned. He didn't have the type of games that we saw from him thus far in this competition. And it's a credit to Nash because obviously Zeno has been the outstanding player of the tournament thus far. Going forward from there, Layou played very well, I'd say, in the first half. Have to give credit to them. We both predicted a System 3 victory coming into the game. But Layou really stepped up and showed that they can be in this title challenge all the way to the end. But System 3 showed that they are just a level above that. So for as good as Layou are and as good as they showed to be, as clinical as Kobe Mingno is and as good as Wendell Coffey is in the midfield, System 3 are just a level above that. It might not be by far because we've seen them blow with teams thus far this season, and they only managed a 2-1 victory here. So that scoreline is very much indicative of how the game went. And I'd have to give credit to Aaron Collis, as you mentioned, and his wing partner as well, Sherman Phillips. Both speedy, both tricky, type wingers who would cause problems for any defense. And then when you have Solomon in the middle of that, is no wonder why they're top of the league. But also Cunningham in midfield, who is the brother of Jebelle Cunningham, one of the famous players from the Premier Division over the past, 10 years or so.
Okay.
He's actually a striker by trade, right? He's actually a striker by trade, but basically forced to play in midfield due to System 3's firepower, right? And as a midfielder, he's a bundle of energy, real up and down and very powerful. And as you show, he has a goal scoring knock as well. I think it's his third goal of the season as well. Someone else you mentioned before we start, the number 10 in midfield alongside him, Lazaro Lynch. Another great performance from him, who he's been having a great season very quietly. As you mentioned, not having goals and assists doesn't mean you're not having a good game. And must give shout out to him as well. Also, Javelin Sutherland returned in this game for System 3 as well, and we could see that his presence was certainly felt by the Layou FC attackers. One challenge resulting in him getting a yellow card, which I thought was a bit borderline, but on replay and after speaking to him and hearing the logic and so behind the challenge and even seeing the ball being deflected, it was a yellow. So credit to him, and they definitely missed his leadership right while he was out. So credit to System 3 for maintaining their unbeaten start to the season. Also credit to Layou for putting up a challenge.
Yeah, that was a really good match.
Basically the best game we've seen a team give System 3 for the season, aside from when Jebelle took 2 points from them. So System 3 maintained their status at the top, and Layou dropped to third as a result of that defeat. So let's recap the table. As I mentioned, System 3 remain on top, 16 points. It's a plus 19 goal difference. It's crazy. BESCO move formally into second following their victory over the Predators on 12 points, while Layou slipped to third, as I mentioned, following their first loss of the season on 11 points. Jebelle and Predators are now tied on 10 points each. Awesome FC are right below them on 7 points. Hope International on 5 points. Chelsea jump out of the relegation zone on 4 points, while Bequia United and Avenues United are the bottom two teams in the league after 6 games. You wanted to mention something there?
Nah, not really. Just that's crazy. That System 3 the only team with a double-digit goal difference. And BESCO second with -1.
Yeah, it's actually crazy to see the table when you look at it. When you look at the goals for and goals against for the teams in the league, because System 3, like Dopy mentioned, is a plus 19 goal difference, and then you see the team in second having a -1 goal difference. It's it's certainly something, but it's only a 4-point gap at the top of the table, and there's still many games to play in this season. Well, as you know, would remain on top of the goal scoring chart. He added another to his impressive tally thus far. He now has 14 from 6 games. Kobe Migno added another, and he's now tied in second with DL Spring. Java has 4, and there are a bunch of players who have 3 and 2 respectively. Okay, so just want to give some match week awards from game week 6 before we preview game week 7's fixtures. So for player of the week this week, I decided to give it to Cadel Hector, who had 2 goals in the match for Avenues United, including a brilliant half volley. But his team were unable to come away with the 3 points. However, Jamal Oliver in the same game deserves praise as well, because he had 2 great finishes and basically got his team back into the game. So Cadel Hector and Jamal Olivier, both from the same game, are our players of the week this week. And team of the week for a team who we've been, rightfully, when they've been playing poorly, criticizing, to now they've got their first victory of the season, and we're going to crown them as the team of the week for game week 6. Camdonia Chelsea, after defeating title hopefuls Jebelle and lifting themselves out of the relegation zone in a deserved 2-1 victory. You are our team of the week this week, Camdonia Chelsea. So looking ahead to game week 7, and first game of game week 7, we'll see Jebelle take on Awesome. Jebelle will be eager to bounce back after their defeat, while Awesome will look to turn their draws into wins. So, can Jebelle respond after their loss, or will Awesome continue to prove hard to beat?
I think I really cannot see Jebelle coming out, especially the defense, like they did in the last game. And I will have to say, I'm leaning towards a narrow 1-0 victory. Um, Maybe a penalty because of how gritty and organized awesome defense is. I'm not really expecting a boatload of chances from them, but I expect the quality to prevail. So yeah, and this is with Chad Shaw absent in my mind for this fixture as well. So yeah, I'm leaning towards a 1-0 victory for Jebelle.
Okay, so the question was, can Jebelle respond after their loss, or will Awesome continue to prove difficult to beat? I think both things can be true here, that Awesome will continue to prove difficult to beat, but I could see Jebelle coming away with a close victory as well. I'm gonna go with 2-1 Jebelle here. I don't think they'd look at Awesome in the same manner that they did Camdonia, maybe, and underestimated them a bit. I think they'd have their best boots on and look to respond in kind. So I'd say 2-1 to Jebelle. Move on to the second game of Friday night, which will see Camdonia Chelsea take on Bequia United. So both teams are coming off of emotional results. Camdonia with their first win, and Bequia after a dramatic 3-all draw, coming back from 3-0 down. So will Camdonia build on their momentum following their first victory of the season, or can Bequia carry their comeback energy into another big performance?
This is a tough one as well. Allowing 3 goals against Avenues is really, the best way to go forward, really and truly. I mean, Avenues was the bottom team, or still is the bottom team. So considering 3 goals is a bad look, really and truly. Chelsea winning against Jebelle was a statement victory, and especially the way they went about it. Really trying to match it in my head sharp. Well, I think in this one, as much as I want to lean towards a draw, I think this would be another victory narrow for Camdonia Chelsea.
Bequia are an unpredictable team. They've drawn 3-alls twice this season. Well, I'd say Camdonia have been showing me more consistency, whether bad or good. So they started the season very poorly, and in the last few games they've improved dramatically, I'd say. Credit to Coach Wilson and his staff for those improvements, because obviously they would have had to go back to the training ground to see where things went wrong, and obviously it's proven fruitful. So I'm gonna go with the team that I know what I'm gonna get from them. I'm gonna go with Camdonia to have a comfortable 2-0 victory against the relegation strugglers, I'd have to say, Bequia United. And yeah, go on a 2-game win streak and jump up to 7 points. So 2-0 Camdonia. Move over to Sunday's fixtures. On the first fixture of Sunday, we'll see Hope International take on BESCO Pastures. Hope managed to stop their losing streak last week, but they now face one of the league's most informed team. Can Hope slow down BESCO's momentum, or will Pastures continue to climb up the table?
I think this is when we would see a response from Hope. And this is a bold prediction. They will slow down Pastures' momentum. I feel like it's about time. As much as we haven't seen them being electric, we could go off the one positive that they did not concede a goal in the last game. And I think that they could build that should be a foundation to build on, that they have done something correctly, because in the past they have been conceding goals left, right, and center. So I want to say that this a kind of trend away with, but feeling like it going to be a 1-0 victory again, a narrow one. It's going to be a weekend of 1-0 victories for Hope International.
Okay. I mentioned that I backed Hope to win last week, and I've been disappointed by them for the majority of the season thus far. So it's very difficult for me to pick them to beat a team that has won 4 games this season with 4 clean sheets, showing solidity at the back and organization throughout the entire team and the ability to capitalize on sloppy errors. However, as you mentioned, it's only a matter of time before the quality in Hope's team eventually clicks. I'm not sure if this would be the game for it though, and I'm gonna go with a Pastures victory and another narrow victory for them. I could see a 1-0 victory as well for BESCO Pastures on Sunday, and they continue their win and clean sheet momentum and Hope slip further down into the doldrums. Move on to the second fixture from Sunday, which will see Avenues United take on Layou FC. Avenues showed attacking quality last week but failed to secure the win, while Layou will be determined to respond following their first loss of the season. So the question is, will Layou bounce back immediately, or can Avenues finally secure their first win of the season?
Yeah, I think it's easy to go with immediate bounce back. Absolutely. Uh, Avenues won't be facing a team that's is lacking structure or identity. They are facing a team who has title aspirations and would want to respond in a way championship contenders would want to respond. So yeah, I think it would be a comprehensive victory. Actually, I will go with a 3-0 win. As much as I would like to believe that Avenues would get some confidence from scoring 3 goals in the last games. I mean, I want to be real. I mean, I know how football is, but I believe this task is a bit too much for them to handle.
I agree. I could only see one result here. As you mentioned, Layou have major title aspirations, and they're basically everything Avenues aren't. They have firepower up front, steel in defense, and quality throughout the midfield. So aside from obviously Captain Francis and now the impressive Hector, one would have to say, who has 3 goals in his last 2 games. Maybe they are showing a bit more attack involved going forward, but I don't think they have enough to keep out what Layou have coming forward, especially with the return of Velux, now to complete the front three alongside him and Mingno and Leisurewood. It's gonna be a difficult task for Avenues to keep them out. I could also see a comprehensive victory, but I could see Avenues sneaking a consolation goal. So I'll say 4-1, 4-1 Layou.
Okay.
We'll move on to the final game of game week 7, which will see the defending champions, Leeward Predators, take on the league leaders System 3 in what could be a very crucial match for the title race. So the question here is, can Predators hand System 3 their first defeat of the season, or will the league leaders continue their impressive unbeaten run?
I think the league leaders would continue their impressive unbeaten run. Even if the game fizzles out into a draw, it still would be an unbeaten run. Yeah, that's how difficult a matchup I think it could be for them.
I agree.
We know the North Leeward that we got last weekend wouldn't be the North Leeward that would show up next weekend, especially if it's a game against System 3, especially how they know they themselves have the same aspirations that Layou and the others would have, but they, of course, are not in the same position, or they would like to be in a better position. But as I said, it's a game against the leaders, and you would like to make an impression. So I expect a really competitive match. But in the end, I think System 3 would edge it 2-1. I don't think it would be a complete trouncing.
I could also see Leeward Predators putting up a very, very good fight in this game, and I wanna be, I wanna hope for a result in the game for the sake of the competition of the league, that System 3 doesn't run away with it so early and say that I could see Predators winning here, but I would be lying if I said that based on what we've seen thus far from both teams. Leeward look toothless up front in terms of chance creation, and if it's not DL Spring, they're not sure where a goal is gonna come from. Whereas System 3 has goals all over, and not just in Azino Solomon. So I could only see one result here, and I'm going to go for a comfortable System 3 victory, 2-0, as they continue their title surge and unbeaten as well. it'd be interesting to see how hard System 3 go at the unbeaten record, because I'm sure if they continue at this pace, they'd wrap up the league way before the league is finished. They wrap up the league mathematically way before the league is actually finished, where games are played is concerned. So it'd be interesting to see how hard they go at, the unbeaten record, if and when that time comes to get that record alongside, Avenues United, who did so way back when. So those are our game week 7 preview, and that was the game week 6 review, and that was the game week 7 preview, looking ahead to the games this weekend. So, and as always, before we go, we love to give our little 2 cents on anything that we might have noticed over the weekend in the action of the Vinci Soccer Premier League. So there are a few things I wanted to touch on. The first thing is that the games this weekend were scheduled to be played at the Independence Park. As we've seen they've done the rotation between Independence and Brighton throughout the season thus far. But for some strange reason, the games were played at Brighton this weekend still. I don't think there was any communication about it, no release, no media release about it, and only the fixtures. He posts with the fixtures still on their page, and it says Independence Park. So I'm just saying, maybe there was a mix up there in terms of the logistics. Not sure what went wrong, but I thought the games this weekend were to be played at Independence Park. So I'm not certain what happened there. And what happens this weekend, we're not sure. Will the games return back to Independence Park, or are they going to be played at Brighton again? So not certain what's going on there. And I'm seeing they're playing some of the first division games now in Independence Park throughout the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, or something like that. I think that's the second round of the first division. So just a bit of confusion there, but nothing major. The other thing I wanted to touch on is a post which the Simpson and the Grenadines Football Federation made yesterday for International Women's Day, which caught a lot of flack on the Instagram comments, and it's deleted now, rightfully so. But we just want to highlight it because it's ridiculous. It's basically basically making it about yourself. If making it about yourself was a person, it would be SVGFF, because it's International Women's Day. Still put out a poster with 8 men fully dressed in suits and things, and basically, I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
Here what I understand. Behind every black man or every man, there's a strong woman behind it. I don't know. That's it.
I don't understand. I would love to hear the explanation or the thought process behind that post, because that had to go through multiple levels of approval, I'm sure, before being posted. Or if it's just one person who have the account and just posting it off of their own, then that's even crazier. Because the reaction in the comments alone could tell you that was not the right thing to do, bro. Basically putting it as kindly as I can. You know what I'm saying? You guys need to read the room sometimes. And it's International Women's Day. Don't try to make it about yourselves. You know what I'm saying? Is one day of the year where women celebrate, where we get to celebrate women one day singularly. Just let them have it, bro. It's no need to insult yourself.
I just can't imagine, they asking a lady that, and she say,
Yeah.
Sure, I think you should go ahead.
There's no way a woman would watch that and be like, yeah, this is something appropriate to post, and we wouldn't get any flack for it. So the fact that you guys have taken it down, about 24 hours later, just shows that you acknowledge the mistake that you made. I don't think they have to go as far as to come out and make a statement apologizing for it, but try not to make the same mistake going forward, because it's not a good look on the federation and whoever is in control of the page, and on football and sevens in the Grenadines as a whole, because it might be something minor to you, but look at the reaction it got in the comments. Right? If you thought it was gonna get that reaction, if you thought you would have had to delete it a day later, you would not have posted it. So just read the room better next time, and you wouldn't have these kind of problems, because they had other posts as well from Women's Day, and they were fine. Nothing was wrong with them. But then came that elephant in the room type post that you guys had to basically put yourselves out there. So the current the current governance in the federation has been doing an okay job so far. So we're not here to bash them, but that was not a good look, right? And we just have to highlight it. Anything else?
I just like how you say highlight. I just like how you say highlight. You get me? Because I remember match week 1. Big and bold and brawling. Highlights.
Yeah, highlights.
So I say, oh, this is a really good look. This is a really good look going forward. If I miss a few goals, I could watch them back in the highlights.
Yes.
Now we're in week 6, Shab, with 5 weeks without highlights. if you didn't plan on giving us for the rest of the season, then
Don't tease me. Don't introduce us to a vibe you can't maintain, bro.
and let me tell you something, them same highlights I requested now could be put in the halftime package if you don't have any other clips that you want to show, because if I watch any game on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, halftime come, and I get distracted, bro, I might not come back.
Correct.
So at least keep me engaged, keep me watching something. So if it ain't too much of a biggie, if it ain't too much of a big ask, bring back the highlights, and it could slot them in like a halftime segment or in between matches. That's just my suggestion.
And this is something that I spoke to one of the and I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning our conversation. But this is something I spoke to one of the commentators about, that during the halftime, you guys need to keep the fans engaged, because just like you mentioned, that's the exact point I made to him. The Friday game where Awesome and Hope was playing at the halftime, because the game wasn't that really exciting. I forget the game playing when it go halftime, and I tune out. It's only like during the second half, 67, 88 minutes, I tune back in, and I remember the game was playing. So it's just a little improvement that you guys could make, inserting something in the halftime 15-minute slot, just to keep fans engaged, because you want to keep, people on the live, to keep the viewership going. So it's just little improvements that you guys could make. Please keep in mind that we here at GSCP are available for work and are willing to contribute towards the development of sport in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, even if it's for free
100%.
at the start. right? We here for it. That's the purpose of this program. That's why we here speaking about Vincy football every week. We trying to be as involved as possible. So if you guys need extra hands, don't be afraid to shout us, okay? Because we're willing and we will be there. So that's just my 2 cents from this week. Right, and that wraps up our review of game week 6 from the Vincy Soccer Premier League. And as always, there were plenty of big moments, major talking points, and performances that continue to shape what is turning into a very exciting VSPL season. Don't forget to join us next week as we break down all the action from game week 7 and continue the conversation around football. This has been Global Sports from a Caribbean perspective, where we're committed to turning our passion into purpose. And I was your host today, Shabba, and I had
Dops.
with me. Subscribe.
Global.